Megabyte Doctor Who podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast, episode 558. I'm Adam and I am Groot. And here's Kirby Badlet Sloan.
Mr. Smith, I need you.
Mary Lang.
I'm going to be a Ben this week and say I didn't even watch the episode.
I don't remember that being in it.
I don't blame you.
Me neither.
And
Tom actually said to me, "Oh, is it that one with Alexander?"
I'm in the
Armstrong?"
middle of the introductions. Debbie Blimmin couldn't be bothered to show up last week. Melrose.
And these are taps: hot, cold, lemonade.
That was one of my quotes.
And
I have one. I have an actual quote.
No, here we go.
I know.
Yeah, I know. That's irritating, isn't it? Anyway.
I know.
I
The
know.
whole damn thing is
know.
irritating.
I know. He did eventually stop saying it. I was going to say something then to do with Deb.
Well, the fact
About
that I
her
haven't been
being
able to come
bothered
on because my computer's
Oh yes,
decided
that's,
it's
I just
too
wanted
old.
to. No, I just wanted to make the listeners. I mean, the viewers might not notice because it's a very strange audio setup for the live feed, but listeners may be wondering why she sounds like Kirby Bartlett Sloan from 10 years ago.
Sorry.
But rather sound like Kirby Bartlett Sloan from 10 years ago than not be on the show at all. So
Yeah.
I'm very
I'd rather
pleased.
be here, please, than sound a bit dodgy.
I hope your phone battery survives the proceedings.
So
Right.
what?
First
Plug it in.
things first.
I can't. The headphones are.
First things first. I want to thank everybody who sent some very lovely messages about Star, who we lost on
yes. Yeah.
Monday,
Yes.
I believe. Was it Monday? I think it was. It was coming for a very long time. It was coming, but it just got to the point. Then it was. We had to take her in, and I try and play it down when you take a loved person to the vets to get them euthanized by saying to get my dog to the vets to get her murdered, because essentially that's what's happening, isn't it? But I know it's out of love.
It does sound rough.
I know it's out of love, but it doesn't make it any easier. I
It's not
want to
easy,
pay a little
no.
bit of. I know it's stupid, listeners. If you don't like dogs, you won't understand. But I'm still going to say it anyway. Star came to us as a companion for Magic. When did it come to us? We sought, actually Deb and Alicia sought her, went out to find a dog for a companion for Magic, who really didn't like being on his own when we went out shopping. So we decided to, I don't know why she decided she wanted a Shih Tzu. I think she found an advert in the county press for Shih Tzu puppies. And we went out and saw these tiny, tiny little puppies, looked a bit like hamsters, actually. They're so tiny, they look like hamsters. And obviously I picked this little hamster-like dog up in my hand and held her between in my palms of my hand, between my two thumbs. She was that tiny, and but all the rest of the litter were black, white, or black and white. Star was just this brown colour, and she stood out. We just chose her straight away from that because she was different. But she was, and I'm not, there's no sort of exaggeration, the most pleasant-natured dog I've ever met. That's lucky for us to have her. She never pooed in the house. She never weed in the house. She was always friendly. She never was aggressive to anybody. She'd have a tease play thing, like growling style, just for a play. But she was totally loving, totally devoted family dog. And it was very difficult to finally have to say goodbye to her and just have to remember her. And of course, she's been on this show since she was a puppy, more or less. Didn't make much noise, to be fair, apart from snoring. But
She kept your feet nice and warm.
She'd been mentioned a lot. Magic was very vocal, but Star was mentioned a lot. And
Star was always snoring.
She existed, if literally, on the show rather than audibly. So essentially, her and Magic were both mascots in a way of this show. So it is the end of a rather large era, considering we've gone from puppy Star to dead Star in the time we've actually been doing the podcast. So yeah, thanks everybody for your kind words. She is already missed, and say she's going to be missed. She's already missed. But anyway, enough about sad stuff. We had stuff coming through on the live feed before we get on with the review. Lillian Robin, anybody heard of her? Lillian.
Lillian.
She says
Yeah,
hi.
Lily.
Chris Mockridge says hello. I presume that's how he says it. Brandon Moore said, sorry I'm late, but it's 1941 and there's a war on. 1941, isn't that? No, never mind. Lillian Robin says she sounds fine. Oh, well, congratulations, Lillian. I'm glad you sound fine. Oh, hang on.
I sound fine.
I've been caught on the hop here. I should really read these messages before I read them out. Might be a good idea. That's the wrong folder. Bear with. Yeah, see, when Ben's on the not on the show, it all goes unprofessional. Hang on, I've got the wrong folder. What's going on?
Where is Ben?
Ben is interviewing apparently a Farnborough legend for his Farnborough show. Priority jingles. There we are. Here we go. Yes, Tim says, sorry for your loss. And then Lillian Robbins says, sorry to hear about Star. And Tim Drury says, the one with the wooden royalty and the underused Bill Bailey. I remember rather enjoying it myself. And Malk Pitt says, so sorry, Adam. Now, well, is he apologising for the quality of the podcast? I don't know. We've had to put up with it for 12 years. 13 years, nearly. So basically, this podcast very soon is going to get lots of attitude and be sent to its room and then refuse to go to its room and stuff like that. Right, so the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I did have the page open on iPlayer. There it is.
Master.
Jesus Christ. I'd like to get through this episode.
Ask that we not do what we did the last time we discussed this one.
I don't. Shut up, because I don't remember what we did. Be quiet.
Well, I'm about to tell you.
Go on
we
then,
actually
quickly.
did our first ever live commentary.
You mean we
watched the whole thing and commented as we were watching it.
Okay, well, let's try not to do that, shall we? If anybody wants to listen to us doing a live commentary nonsense thing, you have to go back and listen to episode...
Nonsense.
Just a second, I'll tell you.
Well done for being prepared, Kirby.
Episode 93.
Thank you, right.
Anyway, it was you, me, Reese, Robert,
all
Alicia,
of you? Oh my
and
God.
Izzy.
Well, yeah, we go.
And Izzy was actually contributing more than she fell down to the ground.
Yeah, well, you won't get her today because she's thrown up. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she threw up while we were watching Married at First Sight Australia. Anyway, can we get through this bloody episode? Jeez. Right, anyway. So the episode begins on a spaceship where looks like there's been some battle going on. The Doctor running through corridors using a sonic screwdriver to avoid getting hit.
He's got it right in front of him, Kirby.
No. There's no battle going on because there's no one on board, apparently. The Doctor has exploded it by...
Do you really like this episode so much you want to be pedantic about a stupid little scene that doesn't really matter in the episode?
Oh, come on, it's classic us. As soon as we don't like an episode, we spend longer on it than we do on a cracking episode. It just seems to happen.
There was a prequel that came out.
That is very true.
Yeah.
There's a prequel that came out which shows how it exploded.
Quickly.
It made it even more interesting.
Yeah, quickly, please, Kirby. I have the prequel. I haven't watched it, but go on. What's the prequel then?
The Doctor's calling Amy. He's got his finger on a red button. He says that the spaceship is going to destroy Earth unless he manages to make it explode.
I said quickly, but there you go.
To ask her to fly the TARDIS to rescue him, and she's not answering, and she can't fly the TARDIS. So he says Merry Christmas, releases the button, and that's where it starts exploding, and then the rest of it we see in the episode.
That took about 3/4 of an hour, Kirby. Right then. Anyway, so can I just get through this pointless scene that is basically to lead to the Doctor jumping out into open space and being able to go with no air or anything like that. Go. Now, I've talked about science fiction and science fantasy. It's neither. It's neither.
There is no science fiction in this episode at all.
Anyway, so he falls for a bit in open space,
Kirby,
going and catches this suit thing that's falling down to the ground, and somehow manages to put it on while falling down to the ground. So the fact that Isabella didn't say falling down to the ground while doing her review of this episode last time is remarkable in itself. Anyway, so meanwhile, Madge is sort of, and I don't mean Madge from Neighbours, Madge is sort of riding around on a squeaky bike, and then here's this, oh, Jesus Christ.
The opening credits do not have Arthur Darvill.
No, they won't, will they? Because they're not essentially in it, until a surprise scene at the end.
They were in it, but it was a surprise to all of us.
He's got to find something to pick about.
Oh, there's plenty to pick about.
She finds the doctor, a crashed spaceman on the ground. She's not particularly bothered by this because it's a very odd thing you would find in that time. Anyway, and for somehow the doctor's managed to put the suit on back to front. But anyway, she sort of rescues him and takes him back to the house where this bespectacled, that's a good word, isn't it? Bespectacled young man is looking in the telescope. And now what gets me about this next bit, right? They got the two children, the attitudey teenage girl and the boffiny boy as the family. While I think Dad's gone off to war. At this stage, Dad hasn't died yet.
Not at this stage, no.
And anyway, she drives the doctor still in back to front spacesuit to a police box, which isn't the TARDIS. And
Master,
he walks into a lamppost. What?
May I point out my first clue that this is going to be a terrible. No, second clue after the doctor falls down to the ground. My second clue this was going to be terrible is that you could see the eye holes in the back of the spacesuit.
Thank you for that, Kirby. Yes, we could see those and weren't particularly bothered by them. But yeah, so then we have a shot of Alexander Armstrong flying his plane, and then we have the deepest sympathy letters implying, obviously, that the war started and whatnot, and he's been deaded. And this is a few years later. How many years later is it? The next few
3 years.
And the two children, who apparently are 3 years older, look exactly the same age, same height.
It's the bad nutrition of the war.
Yeah, it's the bad nutrition and rickets of the war. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so
surprisingly robust looking children.
They are sort of taken to or sort of move into this house where the caretaker is the doctor. Of course, I don't recognise the doctor because he had a suit on conveniently last time that Madge had met him, and he acts very strangely.
He has the suit on here too. It's just his regular doctor suit.
Yeah, whatever. But I mean, yes, he does go through these scenes. He's excited about the house he's put together for them, and he's quite good at these scenes, to be fair. Although the line "I know" is I was watching the first half last night, and I watched the second half today. And Deb would watch the first half of me before she went to bed, and she was chuckling away at the bits where the doctor went, "I know." So it can't have been bad for everybody. I'm just saying, but it was for me a little bit irritating.
Part of the episode.
Yeah, so,
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. He's got a lemonade tap, and there's some lovely little sort of quirky things that are really not very Doctor Who, but funny nevertheless. And she shows them all.
Can I say I hated those scenes?
Did you say you hated those scenes?
I hated those scenes.
Oh dear, never mind.
They were stupid, particularly the chairs.
And then they end up in the Umbrella Academy room with Pogo's picture on the wall as well. And it must be cold in the house because the young nipper is wearing his Houghton scarf, Houghton calf, coat and scarf throughout the whole of the proceedings. There's no bed in the bedroom, just hammocks, which I'm
what a great idea! I would love that.
And when the doctor tries to jump into the hammock, he misses. But the thing is, right, what I get from these, you've got to bear in mind, this is it's a Christmas episode, and it's just that side of things is a little bit of fun, isn't it? Anyway, so onwards we go. Eventually we get to the night time where the children are sort of tempted. One of them's tempted downstairs to this great big box that's glowing, and the teenage girl who hasn't grown up in 3 years goes upstairs to find the doctor messing around the attic. Nipper goes through the box and finds this sort of foresty, icy forest place with these baubles on the trees that very exciting looking, very Christmassy. Bearing in mind, like we said, it's Christmas. And he pulls at one of these baubles that falls off the tree, and something mysterious happens to it. Then the little girl and the doctor.
I have no trouble with the fact that you're going through this so quickly.
Well, I don't care, because that's what I intend to do. Then the girl and the doctor come and join them in the foresty place, and the doctor's a bit concerned now as to, because he set up this whole thing because on Christmas Day he was going to show and treat the kids to this magical sort of portal, but unfortunately where they decided, like kids do on Christmas Eve, to have a sneak peek, all this stuff.
I did that once. I got in so much trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, at one point the doctor looks at one of these baubles and sees the reflection of Groot in it, and thinks, "Hang on, I'm in the wrong film here." And then Mum comes down, that's Madge, and sees something odd going on in this box, and she then joins them in the forest. Bespectacled Nipper finds this sort of place. I'm going to look for a place because I wasn't quite sure what it was, with a knocker, and pushes the door in, and there's this Groot figure, Groot Master? King figure.
Master?
No,
Master.
Groot King figure.
The actor inside the King figure is the same actor who was the Minotaur in a couple of episodes before, and the actor inside the Queen was Paul Casey, who did a lot of that sort of stuff before the guy who's friend of the show, that I forget his name.
John Davey was in Doctor Who for years before this.
Paul Casey did that stuff before John started doing it.
Okay. Anyway, so there's this. It's like a lighthouse in some ways. It's quite a good set, to be fair.
Yeah, with a Sontaran spaceship on the top.
Whatever. But they are beautifully designed, but they are a massive rip-off of Groot. Anyway, so eventually Mum, Madge, bumps into some sort of...
This is before Guardians of the Galaxy, so we don't know. I think
Guardians of the Galaxy was well on its way to conception, I should say, while this is being filmed.
Yes, and I'm sure the Groot was in the comics by this point, but I didn't ever associate
not at the
these
time
with Groot.
So what you're saying, Groot is based on these figures? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying I never made the association between them.
Well, I'm making it now.
Obviously.
You've got to bear in mind, in the Lord of the Rings films before this, they had a tree creatures, didn't they? So
Treebeard, yeah. The Ents.
Yeah, they were quite good.
They don't look like this, though.
One of the aspects of Lord of the Rings I actually did enjoy. But anyway, back to this one. So three, what do they call those things? Stormtroopers turn up, painted yellow for some reason.
And they're from the best thing about the episode is that they're from
Androzani Major. Did somebody sneeze then?
No,
it sounded like a sneeze. Androzani Major, yes, this is, and anyway, one of them is the winner of Strictly Come Dancing a couple of years ago. Oh, I can't remember his name, Bill somebody or other.
Bill Bailey.
The other one, the other bloke, I've seen him other stuff. What have I seen him in other stuff, Debbie? Because you're the expert on British television.
Not really.
There's two blokes and a woman.
You watch more British telly than I do.
There's two blokes and a woman. The woman is a comedian. I've seen her in comedic shows. I've seen the bloke. Pardon?
I'm going to look it up.
Good.
I'm not.
So essentially, it's three comedians which Madge manages to con out of their weapons and then points a gun. So in any drama, if you notice this, whenever a gun or like a revolver is pointed at someone, they always go. It always makes that sort of cocking noise whenever the gun is pointed at someone. Has anyone not seen this?
Well, that's
I forget
the removal of the safety.
Yeah.
Which makes it alive and more threatening.
Yeah, I know, but it's a bit, okay. Well, they're pointing a gun. That's enough. They did it in the End of Time when the Doctor was pointing the gun at the Master and then pointing it at Rassilon. Every time he turned around, it went at Master, and we went around.
Does the water pistol at the end make that sound?
No, that made a sort of squirty noise. Go.
That was more.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, while all this has happened, bespectacled Nipper has found the Queen, who's holding this sort of coronet.
The character's name is Cyril, and for some reason, Robert, last time we discussed this, kept going, cereal.
Anyway, yeah. So there's a throne, and she's holding the crown. You can see the actor inside the costume moving while they're supposed to be perfectly still, which I thought was quite interesting. The Doctor turns up with girl that is 3 years older but doesn't look it, in the same building, meets the king person, and then Madge.
The guy you're talking about is called Paul Baisley, the actor.
Baisley? Oh, what the? Yeah. What's he been in?
Pirates of the Caribbean, Cruella, Heathcliff, loads of things by the looks of it. He's one of those. Hey, he's that guy.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Anyway.
Yeah, Benidorm, Black Mirror.
All right, that'll do. Thank you. That'll do. Anyway, so at the top of this lighthousey building-y thing,
I actually quite like that station. Yeah.
They look out the window and there's stars in the trees. Very romantic. And the Groot gets out of this throne, and
I am Groot.
Madge sort of takes over or hijacks the sort of ship thing that the comedians are in. So while the Doctor's getting all panicky with his sonic screwdriver as they crown
doesn't do wood
cereal. Which enables the tree creatures to speak through the children. They sort of touch them and are able to use their voices and talk through them and whatnot. And so that's done in Doctor Who and other things many times. Anyway, so eventually, because I'm bringing this quickly to the end as I can, like I say, Madge sort of kicks ass a little bit throughout this, and she's because she's mum, isn't she? This all-powerful mum, and she's able to
well, you
save
don't
everything.
mess with your cubs.
No,
that's
exactly.
Just doesn't happen. No.
And she sits on the throne. She's worthy. She sits on the throne, and
to
cut a long story short, because obviously we saw that Dad was dying in this air crash thingy, she creates this sort of light that leads Dad to safety. Now, what gets me about this light that leads Dad to safety, I thought the plane was out of control, and that's why it was crashing. So how is he suddenly able to control it to follow this light thing? Anybody?
It's a science fiction fantasy TV.
It's quite ambiguous about actually what's going wrong with it, because they're just saying so-and-so's not doing so well, and they're like, we'll get there, we'll be back in time for Christmas. There's not really...
We see an engine has gone too.
Yeah, it's very... anyway, I didn't make sense. That bit didn't make sense because I thought that they were crashing because he lost control of the aircraft, but he was able to follow this light. And she, obviously, the top of the thing is a Sontaran spaceship. Don't know if you mentioned that, Kirby. And they're able to fly through the time vortex. The spaceship through the time vortex. Sorry, the aeroplane through a time vortex. I wouldn't have thought we'd much air in a time vortex, but I don't know much about time vortices. But there you go. It's a science fiction fantasy TV show. Very heavy on the word fantasy.
Extremely heavy on the fantasy, which is one of the reasons I don't like this.
And of course, Dad's all right, and they've all got Christmas together, which makes the Doctor feel, after a little conversation and cuddle with Madge, a little bit sort of like he misses his friends. So he goes to see Amy, who I love that scene, by the way, the end scene.
She always lays a plate for you.
Yeah, like you say, she just squirts him over and over with the water pistol, and they just sort of, I'm not going to hug you. No, I'm not going to hug you. And it was a very well acted and beautiful scene. That's probably the highlight of the whole thing. It probably was added on.
Unfortunately,
it was added on.
The most emotional scene in the whole thing.
It was very good little scene. And a little tear in the Doctor's eye. I didn't think that was a tear, actually. I felt that she just got him in the eye with the water pistol.
Yeah.
Okay, right then. So there we are, got to the end of it. Hurrah! Let's see what people have been saying on live feed before I give my 10penneth. Right then, we've got Lily and Robin. It's fun, not stupid. Talking about the show again, obviously. And Terry Miles says, excellent driving from Mage. Shame she can't park. Right then, okay. Now, I watched this story, but to a certain extent I enjoyed it, because it was like watching new Doctor Who, because it's such a long time. I only really watched it the once when it went out. I do feel Christmassy while watching it. Maybe that's the aim of a Christmas episode to feel Christmassy. So I still get fed up with them having snow at Christmas. Or maybe in 1941, 42, and I think it probably was quite snowy in those days. I know my uncle died around that time from rheumatic fever because it was so snowy they couldn't get the ambulance to him because of the being cut off and whatnot. But I was trying hard to like it. All I can say about the liking aspect of it, I like Matt Smith. I didn't worry too much. It was slightly irritating for me, like you say, Kirby, about I know. I didn't mind that, to be fair. I thought that was quite 11th Doctor-ish. I thought the cast was pretty good. I thought the kids were great. The comedians were good. I didn't think I had any problem with any of the actors, even the wooden ones, which I thought was quite ironic in some ways. But I sort of found myself halfway through feeling sleepy and not being able to keep my eyes open, which is a bad sign.
It doesn't hold. That's the problem.
I really tried hard to like it and tried to have a different opinion of it. So I watched it as a new episode, and I still, unfortunately, didn't really like it. Bearing in mind all the stuff we've watched of the Moffat era so far, I've personally quite liked. But this is sort of how I remember us not liking the Moffat era. So I'm just going to bury it for the time being as a bit of a duffer. Because I know that the previous Christmas special with all the the flying fish and whatnot, I turned out actually quite liked. This one, no, for me, it's not as bad as I remember it, but it's still pretty bad. So, what did you think about it, Debbie?
Not really that much to add to you. I did watch it again. I watched it again this week. Tom wouldn't join me because he said, "Oh, is that awful one with Alexander Armstrong as the pilot?" And I went, "Yes." He went, "That's actually where he stopped watching Doctor Who with me."
Oh dear.
He came back to it with Peter Capaldi, but this is where he stopped watching it with me because he was like, "That was that rubbish." Sorry, he really said something else then. Said that he thought it was so bad. But obviously I've said to him since, there's some great stories coming, this sort of thing. It's coming. There's more coming. And he's like, yes, but we're about to enter Clara era. And I'm like, not quite yet, but, it's worth trying. But I watched it again and I feel it flags and it's trying to get They
were trying to fit an hour slot, weren't they? That didn't work.
Yeah, and a whole hour. And when we've just had like the 45-minute episodes, we've been like, we want more. And this time we've got the hour, and we're like, oh, could have done with 15 minutes less, actually. That sort of, and it seems so unfair the way that the balance of Doctor Who watching is for us during the Moffat era, because we'd remember it resoundingly as a. But there are some cracking episodes.
Like Butcher when he says the episode is, so many minutes too short.
So many minutes too short. Is it 4 episodes too short, and that's too long, and that sort of thing. Yeah, it does feel like that. The music in this also feels like a character of its own. Yeah. Like it's trying to underline moments that don't need underlining, which was quite distracting. But the whole feel was very pantomimey, obviously, because it's Christmas, and the snow just seems to irritate me more and more in Christmas specials, because England doesn't look like that at Christmas.
But I will give it. Obviously, the snow we saw was when. The snow we saw was when he went to visit Rory and Amy, where they wouldn't have been snowing. If they had snow back in 1940s, yes, I'm pretty confident it was snowing a lot during that time.
What, Kirby?
1937 to 42. These years were all snowy, with numerous falls of 1 to 2 feet and occasional falls, such as 1940.
Talking about the bit when he goes to see Amy and Rory.
40. Oh, okay.
The unrealistic modern snow at Christmas.
Okay, the unrealistic because it was very snowy.
No, absolutely. Up till the 60s, 70s.
I did mention about my Uncle Roger. Thank you very much.
I remember having snow on my birthday and Christmas, so it did happen, but it's not happened since I was about 8.
But in Doctor Who, it could be ashes.
Yes,
that's true.
They've blown something else up.
Just to reiterate, my Uncle Roger passed away in 1947, but for the whole of the 40s, it was generally.
Well, it was awful weather. It was what contributed to a lot of home deaths and things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
1947 was one of the snowiest winters to date.
It was.
wish it tried to get across the eco message, but it just seemed to miss completely. It was preaching and it just didn't seem to just follow the same what it wanted to be. Is it going to save the dad? Is it going to do this? Or are we saving the trees? What are we doing? What actually are we trying to accomplish with this episode? And I don't feel that comes across. So for me, this one is a bit of a, but it's Christmassy. It makes you feel like Christmas. And that was what it was for. But it just feels like a utter waste of Matt Smith.
Ironically, it was still one of the best things on Christmas Day that year. So.
Absolutely. No, it was a rough year, that one. We were rewatching DVDs.
Just had a horrible bit of news come through, Deb.
What?
Major incident declared after oil leak from large onshore field in Dorset.
Oh, no.
That sounds rather bad.
That sounds terrible.
Anyway, so what did you think of it? Sorry, have you finished?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I jumped in. I thought you'd finished. Anything coming through? No, nothing. What do you think about it then, Kirby? I wonder what you're going to say.
Well, first of all, I started to watch it again the other day with Fred.
Oh, sorry. I was ahead of myself there.
Yeah, sure.
You might as well.
I started watching it with Fred the other day, and she got so fed up with it, she left halfway through. She said, she turned to me and said, "This is stupid."
Yeah, that sums it up. But I will reiterate, Kirby. I quote, Lillian Robin, "It's fun, not stupid." Lillian, please elaborate. Lillian doesn't provide us a lot of full-length feedback, so Lillian, please elaborate on why it's fun and not stupid. Carry on, Kirby.
Anyway, it was, the weird thing is I listened to us talk about it in episode 93 or whatever it was just yesterday and today, and we all were gushing over it. In fact, you, Adam, said that you liked this one, and I quote, "much better than the one last year with the fish."
Oh,
unquote.
Wow.
Hoisted on your own petard.
This was more Christmassy. But by the end, we were all going, we like this. We like this. This was really good. This is one of the best Christmas specials ever. Even me.
Was I on that broadcast?
No, you weren't on that, but you had written feedback, and you even liked it.
Mary, how dare you?
Wow,
Oh, sorry.
How dare you, Mary?
I think it was because we had been without Doctor Who for a while, and we were about to be without Doctor Who for a while, and we were just all grasping at the fact that we had new Doctor Who. Mm. And
we were thirsty.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember liking it, but it's however many years later, and this sucks.
13? No, 12. 12 years later.
This is it was. I don't like all of the wandering through the house with all the magical stuff.
I didn't mind that.
It's very sort of Roald Dahl-esque. I felt that.
Yeah, it's. I like my Doctor Who to be science fiction with a touch of fantasy, not fantasy with no science fiction whatsoever.
Okay.
I do have to point out that Mr. Smith does end up in the attic at the end.
That would have been a good little segue, wouldn't it, into him being the voice of Mr. Smith.
But that's it. This was not best Doctor Who, not by a long shot. But it's Doctor Who, so it's still good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kirby. Well, already, Mary, we've heard you like it, so we'll just move on, shall we?
My problem with it is that it starts out so upbeat and hopeful and Christmassy, and and it really gets your, I don't know how to put it, your excitement going, and it's like, oh, this is going to be fun, it's going to be good. And then it descends so quickly into bad writing, the acting is good, but everything else about it is so bad. And there again, the only thing that kind of saves it is at the very end when he meets up with Amy and Rory. And I just did not want to sit through that hour-long slog of disappointment again. I just didn't. And I liked it. Maybe, again, it's because, we were so desperate for some Doctor Who, that we were a little, I don't know.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I don't know. That sums it up, really.
Anyway, yeah, so... Yeah, like Deb, it just went on too long. It was, it just was terrible.
Okay.
So.
I think this is it's going to be sort of Marmitey to a certain degree, because Lillian Robin has sent in her extremely in-depth review of this, and here it comes. It's very Christmassy and heartfelt. I love it. There we go. Okay,
yeah,
well, it deserves a little bit of a round of applause.
I hate preachy stories that don't, disguise themselves very well.
Okay, well, we didn't like it that much. Sorry, Lillian. Right, so, over to Kirby for his part of the show. I bet he hasn't got himself ready. It could be the first time.
I just refreshed everything and put everything in the right order.
Okay.
Andy Nunny says, ironing basket filled.
Yay!
Lillian Robbins says, I like the name of the daughter in the episode.
Yay!
What's the daughter's name?
Dina
Lillian. Sorry, I got you. I've got it now. Sorry.
You got it, Adam.
Yes.
Yeah, I've said it about 6 times.
Stop it, Debbie, or I shall set
Lily,
my... Where's my dog gone?
Lily!
Dinos Daniel says, love it. One of the best Christmas episodes. The 11th Doctor and Children makes perfect Doctor Who, in my opinion. It always makes me cry happy tears. How humany woomany of me every time.
Nothing wrong with being humany woomany.
No.
Chris Miller says, like it a lot. I
good.
don't understand the hatred for it.
I do like the fact that people are liking it.
Says dreadful.
No. What was that you just... Dreadful?
Dreadful.
Dreadful.
It's the dog next door. Stop panicking and get off
I'm not panicking. I just want to hear him read his bits out. Jeez.
Okay, Brandon Moore says, what do they teach you in school these days? Sorry I missed last week.
Not
I
good
was
enough.
unwell. Suffice to say, I
better.
enjoy The Wedding of River's Song quite a bit.
What, the podcast or the episode?
I think it is a lot better than its reputation. As an ending to 13 weeks of build-up, it's a bit of a letdown, but I enjoy more each time I rewatch it, so 7 out of 10 for me. I met Louise Jameson the other day. She was very lovely.
Was that on the set of
I have
Emmerdale?
a copy of Doctor Who magazine with a Vok robot on the cover for her to sign.
Ooh, handy.
He just happened to have that with
I just happen to have one. Yeah. It's the sort of thing I do. Oh, yes, look what I've got in my bag.
The Doctor, the Widow, the With, the Lion, and the Wardrobe.
Doctor the Window.
He says widow, sorry. By the Feast of Stephen Moffat. Although I would have to say this is the weakest Christmas episode, at least so far, I wouldn't say this is all bad. In fact, I'm indifferent about most of the episode. I think a lot of the problems happen in Box World, mostly the fact that the plot doesn't seem to exist. Or exists. The Doctor falling to Earth is a fun start, though how did he get that suit on backwards? I find Madge Orwell a bit annoying, and I keep expecting Alexander Armstrong to do his comedy pilot bit. The Orwell...
Yes. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, very good, yes, very good. Oh, hang on.
I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, Armstrong and Miller show, they did 2 World War pilot aces, but they spoke like teenage chavs in it, bro.
Yeah, and also had
really
their scarves were already flying in the wind.
I'll look that up later.
Yeah, look it up. It's very funny.
The Arwalk kids are great, though. The Doctor sprucing up the house is a highlight, and really the threat should have been contained there. The Wooden King and Queen are a great design. It's a shame that they don't do much. Bill Bailey is completely wasted in his role, and the planet being Androzani just seemed like such an unnecessary Easter egg. It's not Androzani, it's being used by Androzani. Anyway, especially as it's Christmas. The whole resolution can be seen from a mile off, and what happened to Anderson? He was in a bad way a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's right. Karen Gillan is hot. So it's a shame she is reduced to a simple cameo at the end of this one. Nice
she
Christmas
is hot
jumper,
in this episode,
though.
it's true.
Humany Woomany is ridiculous. Overall, I give this a 5 out of 10 for distinctly average. Next time, eggs, 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 eggs.
Terminate. Oh, sorry.
Neil James, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. This starts well. The house is wonderful, and I love the Doctor's enthusiastic tour of the bedrooms. Matt Smith is clearly having a blast. I think the kids are decent actors, but it's a crime how they wasted the amazing Bill Bailey and Arabella Weir. Or is it Weir? Weir. For me, the story starts promisingly, but it probably would have been a better episode if it was shorter. Sadly, it fails to hold my attention and it gets a bit dull. That being said, I do feel this Christmas special gets too much hate. It's not that bad. 2 stars out of 5. Not
Fair
that
enough.
bad. Was it only 2 stars?
Yeah, I don't think it shorter would have helped it any.
And Lillian Robbins says, so very nice and Christmassy. Absolutely love it. Why do people not like it?
Interesting. Thank you, Lillian.
As you said, it's Marmite.
Yep. Maybe I'll like it next time I watch it.
You might. You might be in the right place, right time. There you go.
Maybe if watching it at Christmas, I might make a difference. I still loved. You said you didn't like the music, Deb. I liked the music. I thought it created a lot of good atmosphere.
I liked the music, but it was like it was a character in its own right, and it kept arcing at points where you were like, "Pardon, I'm trying to listen."
And there was one point where they brought through somebody's theme, which was completely wrong.
Oh dear,
I
naughty.
don't remember what it was though.
Okay. So moving on to the you said Robert sent something in, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I'll find that. Hang on.
That's on the private chat. Did you want me to read it?
No, because you've got another one to read in a minute.
Oh, have I?
Oh,
so
no, you
want me
haven't.
to read
Yeah,
it?
read it, Debbie, because I didn't think where you were doing on your phone, you'd be able to read the feedback, so I sent it.
No, it
to
looks like
Mary.
I can still mess on my phone as well as do Skype, so
Okay,
I'm
well,
really
that's good
pleased
then.
with this.
Okay, do the Robert one then.
Robert feedback. So, my feedback. Some typical Moffat crap rubbish in this. Why do we get silly falling scenes? About the only thing I enjoyed about it was the story of the wife inadvertently guiding her husband home for a happy ending, and then the Doctor popping round to Amy and Rory. I think I'm going to start getting grumpy with this next series.
You and me both, Robert.
Yeah, all of us.
I reserve my opinion. Is that it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, sorry, we'll move on to this bit then.
Well, good afternoon, 20 megabytes. It's Andy Loney here. It's just come to it's 12:30 on Sunday afternoon. Just come back from church. I'm going to go for a wander around town. We're going to go see a thing called the Night Angel at the Cathedral. But I thought I'd just do a quick bit of feedback on what I watched yesterday, which was The Doctor, the Wind and the Wardrobe, which I did in the ironing, of course. Kirby would be very pleased to hear that. No, it's not one of the best specials, is it? I mean, it's a bit of it's an odd story because it's a bit of a non-story, really, isn't it? You see, the beginning's interesting because you no idea what's going on at all. And then suddenly you're in an aeroplane, and there's Alexander Armstrong flying a Lancaster, one of my favourite airplanes from the Second World War. I've actually been inside one. God, it's tiny and cramped.
Love a
in
Lancaster.
There, however, enough of that. And then you see a family with a woman who is now apparently widowed, taking her children away for Christmas, and the Doctor's there, and he's the caretaker, which is actually, of course, he was a caretaker with Peter Capaldi as well. So it's a prequel of another caretaker episode. Could well be. Who knows? But anyway, he's got a present for them, and he's actually bonkers with the bedrooms and things like that. And then the kid goes through, it's really neither, isn't
What, in
it?
the bedroom?
Climbs through and goes through a portal into another world, and this other world is where they're being harvested, and you get Bill Bailey turning up and being around for a few minutes and then just disappearing, and they just don't seem to do anything, serve any effect, go anywhere, those people. And then you've got living trees that... actually very much like Lord of the Rings. It's like the Ents, isn't it? And they're trying to be saved, and these tree elements, life, suddenly transfer themselves and go into Claire Skinner, the mother, and she goes off and Madge, that was it, Madge. She goes off and saves them and brings them back, and then the Doctor goes and saves Alexander Armstrong. I think it's Rex, wasn't it? Rex, the husband. But yeah, I suppose in a way it's a bit of Christmas frippery. It wasn't, it was nice from that point of view. It was a nice little Christmas tale. It was very much Narnia, as I said earlier. But no, I don't know. It just didn't flow. It didn't grab me. There's bits left. I mean, there's this, this guy died 4 days previously because it's Christmas Day now, so it'll be 5 days. He died on the 20th, and then he's back in his plane, and his plane's landed somehow, and you'd have thought the RAF would have come straight after him because he must presumably have supported him saying, well, actually, it's 5 days later, and I've got my aeroplane, and it's in a field somewhere. I have no idea how I got there. Because, of course, there's Anderson, who is the injured bloke we never saw, and the nameless other crew member. What happened to them? They just seemed to, they never were anywhere, were they? It was fun. It was nice. It would have been a nice one to sit in Christmas and just relax and watch. But in terms of story, I say, not very much, really. It was just the Doctor being a bit bonkers. And then setting yourself up for, I suppose it just was setting yourself up for a new season, a series of the story, and that was it, really. So, all in all, yeah, that was it. Oh, and my ironing board's knackered again. I've got to buy another new one. Be seeing you.
Oh. Yeah. That's Andy Nunny, everybody.
Hooray!
Mary Lang was sent some blurb from Terry Miles.
Sorry?
Mary Lang. So she's on one of the channels coming into the Skype call. Mary.
Okay.
Mary is.
This is from the Mileses.
Indeed.
And they say, definitely a Christmas episode, way too much snow. The Doctor stops an alien invasion of Earth at the end of 1938, then falls to Earth chasing a spacesuit. That spacesuit / impact suit has to go. It's the wrong color. All the Doctor's spacesuits are red. In quotes, it's the wrong police box. How many police boxes are there in that village?
Mm.
Yeah, didn't Doctor number 5 have trouble with Androzani? There are some great lines in this one. A fairyland? Oh, grow up. A fairyland looks completely different. I know.
I know.
I know. Are you the new caretaker? Usually called the Doctor or caretaker or get off this planet, although strictly speaking, that probably isn't a name. I'm not going to hug first. Apart from the wooden acting by 2 of the actors, we found this one to be a bit too schmaltzy for our taste. Next up, the yearly outing for the Daleks. Stay safe, everybody. Linda and Terry Miles.
Yes, very, very good. Very good. Right now, what else we got here? We got... Oh, hang on. Oh, there it is. We got this.
Hello, Chunky Megabyte Podcast. This is Ian Kirk.
Hello, Ian.
The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe by Stephen Moffat. Claire Skinner has her name in the credits.
Mm.
The impact suit has lights so you can see the actor's face, but he has it on backwards so you can't. Like the story The Lodger, there is a ship that needs a special pilot. I would have thought that if Madge had to think of home, she would have thought of her own home, not her uncle's house that happens to have enough room for a plane to land. Madge Harwell has gone back a couple of days in time. Is there a risk of her meeting herself? The story is well made and acted. It is a bit too emotional and not well liked. We have just moved an hour forward onto British summertime, so we are 5 hours ahead of Eastern Daylight Time. I saw John Wick Part 4 yesterday. It was even sillier than the previous ones, and more violent. Bye for now.
Really? I've never seen a John Wick film, and
that
hasn't encouraged me to watch one either. Yeah. Well, that sort of concludes...
I've heard that they're good. I've never seen one.
Nor have I. That concludes
definitely worth the watch.
Feedback section of this show.
And nothing from Alan?
Not as yet, no.
Okay.
We got Ian Kirk says it was a bit odd having a big empty house during World War II with the uncle being in an old folks home. And Lillian Robin says, I'm trying to listen to you guys, not write reviews on short notice.
We accept one-word reviews.
Dear me. Yeah, that's brings the feedback section of the show to an end, which leads us on to the next section of the show, which I suppose
you need to double check, make sure you haven't got any Alan T. Butcher stuff.
Well, we can always drop it in later if it
I
happens
just
to arrive.
asked him.
I know.
He wasn't listening, sorry.
Yeah.
No, Alan T. Butcher. Right then, Lavazi, our good old friends of Lavazi, who are not only
Yay, they got
sponsoring
new
this
stuff.
podcast, but also sponsoring the appearance of Vilila Shabalala at FantasyCon this winter.
Ooh.
It's winter. Yeah, it's winter. It's not quite
Yes,
winter.
it will
Autumn.
be. Well, it'll be late autumn.
Autumnum. Late autumnum. So Valile will. I don't know.
Just before Tom's birthday.
I don't know if she'll be allowed to sit on our table because a certain event coordinator, that's Deborah Pearson, may not allow it. Yes, we do have our little titles now. I'm director, Mickey's event manager, Deb's event coordinator, and
I'm the tea maid.
And Roy is event fire health and safety stroke
security
stage manager.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right, so I was talking about Lavazi, wasn't I? Doctor Who merchandise available at lavazi.co.uk, along with, of course, their amazing blog. It's worth just joining their mailing thingy-jig just to get their blogs and people submitting their fan fiction. But you can see that they're big fans of Doctor Who because they sell the Seventh Doctor umbrella, which I think is the most essential umbrella on the planet.
I would love one day, definitely.
It's really good. You can even close curtains with it, which is what I use mine for.
Jolly handy.
Actually, it's what Deb uses mine for. But I have used it outside in the rain, and it works. It's and also used it as a prop while having my picture taken with Sophie Aldred and Sylvester McCoy. You can also get laptop bags, very tight-fitting Christmas jumpers. Not very good this time of year, honestly.
Very tight-fitting Christmas jumpers.
Very tight. I had 2XL and it was very tight-fitting. And, of course, as Kirby will insist I mention, the Fourth Doctor series, 18 scarf and all the other scarves that you could call a prop for the Fourth Doctor. I've mentioned this before. If you listen to all the previous episodes of this show, this may have been mentioned before. But there's also 13th Doctor scarves and T-shirts, I think. Oh, scarves at least. The brilliant 7th Doctor jumper, which is now the 13th Doctor jumper, the sort of Forced Regeneration Master jumper, and the jumper worn by Osgood. So it's been in Doctor Who on the various different people, but it's
very
essential.
adaptable.
Bang for the buck.
Yeah. And I've had two in my life.
Quality, not quantity.
I've had two in my life and worn both of them out. Lavazi.co.uk. Right, let's go and have a look at our good old friends at
Who.co.uk.
That's the first time I've actually needed to be reminded. And some latest products coming through.
See, it finally pays off, Kirby.
It did. Daleks Ultimate Comic Strip Collection 2. That looks quite good, actually.
Goodness.
Across all space and time, the Daleks wage an endless war of conquest. Discover more of their greatest comic book tales as the Doctor clashes with these cold-hearted killing machines and their equally merciless creator, Davros.
Teletubbies.
Beg your pardon?
The Teletubbies version.
Oh, right.
Yes.
There's also a Torchwood story coming out called Empire Man. It says Christmas Eve, and in a secret library underneath Buckingham Palace, Queen Victoria has invited her new Prime Minister to a very private tradition. It doesn't say who's in it. It's not Pauline Collins playing the Queen in that one, which would have been appropriate because it was her Queen that created the Institute of Torchwood. War Master 8, Escape from Reality, featuring Derek Jacobi, or as Americans call him, Derek Jacobi.
Or as the Brits call him, Iclavdivs.
Beg your pardon?
We call him Iclavdivs.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like Claudius Clavdivs.
Well, which segues nicely into the War Doctor Begins 4, He Who Fights with Monsters, with a picture of John Hurt on the front, who was in what you just said, playing Caligula.
Caligula.
Yes, the creepiest.
He was amazing as Caligula.
He was amazing, and he was creepy as bugger. And of course, also in that series was Patrick Stewart.
Yep.
So what a star-studded cast Claudius had. I'd like to watch it, but you can't find it anywhere. So it should really be on places like YouTube. No, it should be on places like BritBox.
The 24-hour movements usually got it.
Yeah, but it depends what I've eaten the day before. But thanks for the. Coming soon also, 4th Doctor 12.1, New Frontiers, 8th Doctor, A Time War 5, Cass, I mentioned this last week, I mentioned it incorrectly obviously, and Diary of River Song 11, so there's lots and lots of stuff. Just go to the who1.co.uk website, they also have figurines, toys, collectibles, and other bump, if you're a Doctor Who fan.
You can buy Claudius on Apple TV.
Oh, is it? Thank you, Kirby. That's one of the most useful things you've ever told me.
Probably get it on DVD.
Yeah, I have it on DVD.
You do?
Dibs.
The original Claudius on Apple TV.
Yeah.
That's what Just Watch says.
I bet it's not on our Apple TV. I'll look it up in a minute. Okay.
On it.
Doctor Who News. Doctor Who News. Featuring, I'm going to read it in the order in which they're on the screen. Doomsday launch. Doomsday is a new multi-platform.
Oh yeah, that was strange.
Story celebrating Doctor Who's 60th anniversary has
BritBox,
been launched by the.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, I thought it'd be on BritBox. I haven't got BritBox. Has been.
Is it?
Unless it's on ITVX, because a lot of the ITVX stuff is on. Oh no, you have to pay for ITVX.
You have to pay for ITVX.
You get BritBox.
Let me see if it's on our BritBox. Hang on.
Probably is. No, mine.
BritBox. Hang on.
Someone has sent. Oh well, yeah. So there's a multi-platform thing, Doctor Who, whatchamacallit, which I don't indulge in, and that's it. Because the next one is what we talked about last week, the Doctor Who magazine special 63 showrunners.
It's not on our
Doctor Who news. It's a shame. I'm just going to type something in that I used to use many years ago, and if I hadn't used it many years ago, we wouldn't actually have a show to do. See if it still works. Just talk amongst yourselves for a bit.
Amongst
How slow do you need to type?
I'm not telling you, otherwise it'll give the game away.
I love my Clav Divs. Brian Blessed's in that too.
What?
Brian Blessed is in it.
he plays. Yeah. Who does he play?
Pompey.
Oh, what a horrible football team.
Yeah, it's probably a
Gripper. A Gripper was he?
Too old of a broadcasting thing, so that nobody has the ability to show the old stuff.
Right, I'll tell you what I typed in. I typed in Doctor Who Online, because the DWO podcast, it was how we were spawned from. But there's not really much here. It's just like Twitter posts and stuff like that. There's not really much. Oh, there are some podcasts. Doctor Who podcast. Oh, the Doctor Who podcast.
It says you can get it from Netflix in DVD form.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
The old-fashioned way of Netflixing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But that's not in this country. Where did you say, Deb, we could have it? We could see it.
BritBox.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah, British BritBox, yes, but American BritBox,
no good to me,
that
I'm
doesn't
afraid.
seem right. That doesn't seem right.
No good to me.
You get such different things to us on BritBox.
Yeah. Wrong, isn't it?
I know.
Right, so
Why
nothing.
do you even need a BritBox?
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, my thing says
we got iPlayer.
Able to watch iClaudius streaming on Hoopla, Acorn TV, Spectrum on Demand, or buy it as a download on Apple TV or Amazon Video.
Right.
So you have to pay for it if you want to watch it on Apple TV or Amazon Video.
I just wonder. I just wonder if
the Apple.
I just wonder if
it was paid for, but I don't know what Hoopla is. Is that free?
Hoopla is free through your local library.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. It is not free for me because my local library won't bother to pay for it. I've looked into that before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if Alan T. Butcher doesn't send his whatever they used to call them through because Ben didn't read them quite how he'd like it. Anyway.
I'm reading it this time, Alan. If you want to send it quick, I'm going to be the one reading this one.
That's not happening, is it? Right then, Fantasy gone. Right then, so we had a meeting
Hooray!
on Sunday. So all I can do, the updates of
You're
what we've got
going to
going
tease
on.
Fantasy
Some of these things have not been announced yet, by the way. Stop talking over it!
No.
Some of these things have not been announced yet, but will be when I'm ready to do so. So these, obviously, being that the event is spawned from this show, have the right to to mention it here. Julian Seeger of what was he in main? Oh yeah, Vikings of Valhalla and Doc Martin and for the Fisherman's Friend film. I don't know if he's in the second one. I'll have to look it up on his IMDb. He's coming along with Kai Owen, who was supposed to come last year, but obviously couldn't, but he is this year, hopefully. Vilile Shabalala, who's staying in Roy's Love Shack, which is the same place that Simon Fisher. Becco stayed with his husband last year. I'm hoping that Vilile, who is currently loved up, may indeed bring her other half with her. Craig Fairbrass, who's raised quite a lot of excitement on the back of his saying he can come this year because he couldn't come last year because he was filming one of his films in South Africa. Martin Ballantyne, who didn't get on very well with Colin Baker, but apparently got on with everybody else who thought he was great, so he's coming along. Madame Bella Cosplays. Now, she's a cosplayer from Wales who's very good, and Gabriel, one of our main cosplayers, gushed when he saw some of the cosplay characters that Madame Bella does. So she's coming along. Dead Star Publishing come with them, so they're an online comic publisher. Meg Hewson, who's an Isle of Wight comic book writer. So if you look up Mel Hewson on Amazon, you'll find her line of comic stories. Dan Digby, who's a renowned comic artist from the Isle of Wight. Adam, the caricature artist bloke who came to FancyCon last year, but I bumped into at London Comic Con. Jedi Fight School's back.
I hope you apologise for bumping into them.
Jedi Fight School. Jedi Fight School for Padawans. Got it in the end.
I loved him. He was amazing to watch.
He's coming along with his little friend called Darth Vader this year.
Ooh.
And James Valentine, who is a cosplayer of the now 14th Doctor, but he's cosplaying the 10th Doctor because he's got the suit for the 10th Doctor, not the 14th Doctor. He's coming from Wales as well, so getting these people in from Wales at the moment. Coming soon, Debbie, if you want to indulge, we've got a racing night to raise funds for the Sophie Rolfe Trust, Kissy Puppy, that is Kissy Puppy, the Sophie Rolfe Trust, and that's at the castle I'm just in the process of creating a poster for it, so I'm going to have to look at my diary. It's a £6 a ticket, and then you sort of, if you want to enter the racing fun, then it's a very small fee to race, and you can win money yourself. The date is let's go back a bit. The date is the 28th of April. As I say, that's 7 o'clock at the castle in
that's Isla's
Newport.
birthday.
Well, tough. Just tell us we'll have to wait till next year. And that way she just holds a year back. That's really quite a reason to do it.
Okay. Sorry, Isla, FancyCon's more important.
Exactly. So that's what's coming up soon, and more to. I'm still in negotiations with to try and get a couple of other people in. I can't say anything about the ones I'm in negotiation with because nothing's been agreed, officially. So next thing, of course, we're going to talk. I'm going to talk about what we watched this week. But I wanted to say, did I talk about the new Shazam film last week? I think I did, didn't I?
I think so.
You think so? Great.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know either.
You probably did because you went to see it last week.
Yeah, last Friday. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk about that again, but it is certainly worth watching.
So many things you watch that I think a lot of them just kind of buzz by me.
Yeah. We've been watching this week are things like Married at First Sight Australia, and things like that. Really, nothing sticks in the mind. We had a problem with the Skybox, which
you've had a bit of a time this week as well.
Deb has sort of been championing the fact that she's been saying for 3 years we've had this problem with the Skybox where it's had a little bit of a loose connection to the back and we keep losing the picture. And 3 years ago, and endlessly after, she said, I think it's the cable. I said, no, it's not the cable. It's just the socket at the back. Look. And guess what it was in the end?
What was it?
Cable.
So she was actually thrilled to bits that she got that bit right. I said, well, why don't you work for Sky then? But yeah, so I've got through every single crime series available on all platforms. I've been trying to watch that series that I like, the Finding Your Roots series that's done by that charming man. What's his name again? I'm going to have to look him up because he's such a charming little man. They do quite a lot of the series. It's a bit like Who Do You Think You Are, but they concentrate on two sort of famous people, American famous people mainly. Finding Your Roots. He's a charming chap. It's apparently it's on PBS in America, this series. A chap called Henry Louis Gates Jr. He's so lovely. This sort of cuddly little man who presents every show, and he just giggles when he's got his celebrity across from him. He's sort of telling them about his ancestry and whatnot, and the celebrity's talking back and sort of telling funny stories. He giggles very sort of enthusiastically when he needs to. But they do get a lot of really good celebs on it. Obviously no Doctor Who ones, but a lot. They had the one I watched the other day was John Lithgow, just for example. They've had Sting on it, and because they mainly American actors, but the stories are fascinating. Doesn't matter who they're going back, what period in time they go back to. The history side of it is told very, very well. And what I love about it, and Who Do You Think You Are, is that the sort of celebs go on it determined not to get emotional about people they've never heard of and never met before when they hear these stories of hardships from people. Obviously, they get African Americans on that when they find out it is proven about their slave background, and they actually hear true stories about what their slave ancestors went through, whatnot. They can't help but get emotional. I mean, Pharrell Williams was one of them. He sort of went there with a sort of light-hearted attitude, and then he ended up having to break for 2 weeks to sort of get over the information he'd been given before going back in and starting the show back up again. So yeah, that's a good series, and that's in America, easily available. I have to pay for it if I want to watch it, because it's payable on Prime and on Apple TV, but it's such a addictive series. It's really good. So that's basically what I've been watching this week, unless I think of something, because you lot have reminded me of something. Debbie, what have you been watching?
Well, I've been catching up with Great British Menu because I'm absolutely addicted to that. We're getting to the finals, so I'm getting very excited over food again. What else have I been doing? I discovered a couple of new programs on Netflix which involve kids turning into animals and having adventures, which she absolutely loves, so that's been on. We've watched some Red Dwarf just because it's the only thing we could agree on. Caught up with The Mandalorian, and
I haven't watched any of that yet.
We started watching Andor again, so yeah, we're just sort of we're sort of in between sitting outside again and stopping watching telly for a while and watching a few things if it gets a bit too wet or cold outside. So we're at that in between stage. I've done a lot of listening. I've done a lot of audio.
Oh yes, again. I've got to mention that. Thanks. I knew you'd remind me of something.
I've basically just been listening my way through the Darling Buds of May because it feels like a nice warm summery spring hug, and the weather is still so cold and cruddy for spring, so just makes it all feel nicer.
Yes,
that's it. That's all I've been doing, really.
Yeah, I've been listening to I just finished the audiobook of Alan Bennett's Diaries. Fascinating, and it's very inspiring when it comes to creating comedy content for TikTok or whatever. It gives you ideas for comedy just by being himself and talking about his life. It's fascinating. And I've just, like I said, started listening to John Bishop's autobiography again. Really, really good stuff.
I've been reading a lot of Hilary Mantel this week as well.
And you were talking about something that you watched that reminded me of something I'd watched. Now I've forgotten what it was now. Blast. Oh yeah, and
I watched Doctor Who. Obviously,
watched the end of Clarkson's
because
Farm.
we got to keep the topic going. Otherwise, people are going to leave us when we start talking about what we want to live.
Obviously, what we watched Doctor Who. We've moved on from that now. Clarkson's Farm. Finished that. Me and Deb adore Clarkson's Farm. It's a great series. Moving on to Kirby Bartlett Sloan.
The only thing I watched was Mandalorian.
Yay!
Is that it?
And a bit of Doctor Who.
And Doctor Who. Yeah. as I said, I tend to watch a lot of things on YouTube, which don't really count.
Oh, I've been watching something on YouTube.
It does count. I love watching YouTube.
Paternity Court with that really beautiful lady whose name escapes me. The judge on it. Oh.
I watch a lot of travel vloggers on YouTube.
You do?
Yeah, I follow Kate and Nate quite a lot, and I like the food bloggers who tour around like Disney parks and do the reviews of all the food. I love those. Isla and I watch those a lot.
Yeah, I watch a lot of the Disney people. I watch Adam the Woo and the Carpetbagger, Jake the Carpetbagger.
Yeah. Just absolutely. Isla got me into these. It was so cool.
It's Lauren Lake, by the way.
Jacob is interesting, but he puts out an hour a day. It just takes up this huge chunk of time.
Lauren Lake's Paternity Court. I think it's just shortened to Paternity Court. Lauren Lake, she's a lawyer, obviously a judge because she's a judge. She is so feisty and beautiful, and I'm a big fan of hers now. She's great. So look up Lauren Lake. And
they argue about in maternity court.
No, paternity.
Women can't exactly deny that a child is theirs, can they?
Paternity court, not maternity court.
What is it?
With the p. So it's always about whoever the father is of the babies, not the mother.
So it's paternity court. Okay, for some reason.
Paternity court.
Yeah. That's probably because Kirby was talking over me. All I was just pointing out how beautiful Lauren Lake was. She's stunning. Anyway, I'm moving. I got slightly distracted there, but it's a great show. It's very simple format, and some of the names that these defendants have on the program, like we talked about these sort of, because we've run out of traditional names, that they come up with these sort of names that are two words combined together to create a new name. I'm just saying. Right, so this is the part of it. Everybody's looking. What about Mary?
What's she been watching or listening
That's
to?
What if you allow me to finish the introduction, we'll find out.
Well, you've just taken over everybody's what we've been
No,
watching.
fortunately, you lot inspire me to remember what I've been watching. Maybe I should write it down. So can we actually listen to what Mary's got to say? For God's sake. Go on. Mary.
Oh, Mary, okay.
That's you, yes, you're Mary.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ben's not here with his jingle.
Theme song, yeah.
I'm sure I'll say something that will get you off and running again. So,
all right, go on then.
Actually, mostly what I've been watching, as always, is sports. I've been watching a lot of spring training baseball. The actual professional season starts next week, so everybody's revving up and trading players, and it's been fun to watch the games, and because they're getting a little bit more interesting, and watching players who you think are going to be on one team, now they've been traded away to another team. It's very interesting. I'm also watching a lot of basketball because we're coming into the last 2 weeks of that. So those teams are lining up to get their games for the playoffs. So I'll be watching the playoffs. Let me think. I did watch I talked about I was going to, but I did watch the film Luther, Rising Sun, and it was very good. As always, Idris Elba is excellent, as is everyone around him. And I know I said I was reading, but I finished finally the Space Pirates, and I tried watching it on Daily Motion because they've got the loose cannon version.
Yeah.
And oh my Lord, it is so hard to sit through. It is so badly done in loose cannon. Is there an animated version of it out there?
I think so. Yeah.
Does anybody know? Okay. I mean, like
Kirby will know.
I don't know.
I
if the
remember
full
when we
thing
did it. I sat through the loose cannon.
So did I. I think they may have done one since then, though.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is when I was watching it, it's like, I know this is probably what I was watching when we were reviewing all of these, but I didn't remember any of it. How very strange, huh?
Yes.
Let me see. And I finally finished the audio play of the Fifth Doctor. It's called 42, the Auton Infinity. It's very long. It's like 2.5 hours. And it's very complicated because the Doctor keeps shifting through his timeline. So he keeps showing up. I mean, it's always Peter Davison being, it's his voice, but he's being the different Doctors as he slips through his timeline. So I really recommend it for anyone who's looking for a nice, complex, and well-done Big Finish audio. What else? Oh, and as part of this review group, the TV assignment this week was The Web Planet. And oh my God, it's such a trip to go back and see that again. The monsters bumping into the cameras, and you can obviously hear, that they're in a studio and all that. It just is, it's like, old timey Doctor Who. But anyway, that's it. Mostly sports, not that much streaming or anything else. So that's mine.
Well, you reminded me that I watched Six Nations, so there you go.
Yeah, I've watched a tiny bit of that.
Well, my sister used to play, as I've probably mentioned about a million times, and it's so wonderful to now see ladies rugby on mainstream telly. It's just fantastic. Rach is so proud of them all.
Same with the football. No, been watching some
Same
great
with the
women's
football
games.
as well, but it's glorious to see that we've got a Six Nations on, and it's ladies playing, and they're just as brilliant. So,
Rugby is much rougher than soccer or football.
We all played that at school. We all played rugby at school, yeah. We're all built like we should.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, right then. The other things I have watched, I'm sorry for, messing that side of things up. I thought, I know what I can do. I can look at the Skybox, which I did mention earlier on that we had some Sky issues. So much so I started deleting programs because I thought they were going to have to change the box. Now I've just realised I'm going to have to undelete them before I lose them forever. So Anton Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway, Michael McIntyre's The Wheel, cracking shows, Apprentice The Final, amongst the other apprentices from the previous weeks. Comic Relief. There was some good stuff on Comic Relief. It's like I said last time. There was a Dalek being auditioned as the potential Eurovision Song Contest entry, and hearing Nicholas Briggs doing the Dalek, doing some singing, was hilarious. Did you see that Royal Autopsy series a few weeks ago, Deb? But that was quite good on Sky History.
No, I didn't see that. I'd heard about it though. It was lined up for me.
I was hoping there was going to be some more episodes, but there's only 2. And there was a special of Ghosts on Comic Relief as well, which was worth seeing, with Kylie in it. Worth seeing. So,
yes,
just a few of the bits and bobs that we watched on Sky, at least. So at least I managed to cover that bit. Right, so next time, I think it's the Asylum of the Daleks, if I remember rightly.
Yes, Asylum of the Daleks.
Which is obviously...
This
is the one where...
the Advent of Clara!
Mary is... I don't mind Clara. Mary's going to have to consider making some souffles for us that week. So, let's see. Or as the Americans call it,
are we
souffle.
going to touch on Pond Life at all?
We could do. I don't know. I don't think I'll end up watching it. But we talking about Pond Life now or next time?
No. I haven't seen it since back then. So we can't talk about it now.
So we're not going to devote an entire separate episode to it, are we?
So what are we going to watch?
We did a completely separate episode on September the 1st, 2012.
What, on Pond Life?
Yeah.
It's not very long, is it, Pond Life?
No, it's not. It was you and Alicia. Okay, that's what it was. You and Alicia apparently watched it and
they did their own
special
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you guys can talk about it. I will not be on next week. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I want to get on to Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah, let's just get on. We're about to hit an era.
Get on with it.
Oh my God. I'm trying to
Get on with it.
Sorry, I'm just
I'll be
overwhelmed.
Guess what? A silent movie.
Yay.
Right, anyway, yeah, so
What
next
are you
time...
seeing, Kirby?
But it's King of Kings.
Ooh. Cool.
I
Well,
believe
it's Easter.
That's Cecil B. DeMille, I believe.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
Kirby, you're reprieved anyway. I've got a show next week, so I can't...
It's Easter, so it's about time that you watch that.
Oh,
isn't it?
really? Let's see. Why do I have us down? Did that change?
No, I just might have forgotten to put it in the diary, but no, we have a show on the 2nd of April.
Okay.
So we'll see you on Easter Sunday then.
I don't know what's happening on these.
I'm just not able to do it on the 2nd.
I'm not sure about Easter Sunday yet because that's Lisa and Carl's baby gender reveal, and I'm not sure whether we'll still be there or whether I'll be home in the evening. I probably will be,
Well,
but I just need to
please
get...
let
I'd
us know.
rather be having me lamb dinner, but if you guys do record, I'll definitely be there.
The next definite date...
Perhaps we should skip Easter.
Okay, it's fine. Otherwise, skipping Easter.
All right, no, Tom, we're not having Easter.
The 16th of April will be my next definite. Heroes Con is that day, but I can do a little sort of talk about Heroes Con.
So
I'm going to try and come to that as well.
No, are you now?
So
Well, you did say.
Did I?
Yeah, you said to me. Sorry,
I?
Mary.
We actually had we got 3 media passes to Portsmouth Comic Con on the Sunday, but I think they've all been taken up by myself, Mick. Who's the third one? Who's the other one? Oh, Roy's going anyway, so it doesn't count. So I'm not quite sure whether it's going to be Deb or there's going to be a spare one, so I'll have to stay.
Don't worry.
There'd only be one. Wait
So-
until
Yeah, well, I could do with a day.
are we going to record on Easter or not?
No, we're not going to record on Easter. I'm going to give everybody, including myself, Easter off, so we can...
So next recording will be April the 16th,
Yeah, so
and will be Asylum of the Daleks.
Yes, so that means we'll do a little pause before the onslaught of the last series of the 11th Doctor.
Yes, onslaught is right.
And I would like to try, please, don't be horrible about Jenna Coleman. I think she's a beautiful woman.
Absolutely.
I haven't got
looking
a problem.
forward to watching it again.
I
want to see it again. I want to go back.
I remember liking Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah,
I remember liking
like
that one,
Jenna
but then
Coleman.
she came back.
I like Clara.
And came back. And
fair.
came back again.
Yeah.
And
You know,
came back
that-
again.
When she came back, that everything fell apart.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember Clara's love interest in Doctor Who?
Yes,
I
the
think
guy
it was-
got turned into a cyber.
Yeah, Danny.
Danny, that's it.
Danny Pink, yeah.
I could potentially get him for FantasyCon, but I don't think anybody is interested. He's done a few other bits and bobs, to be fair. He was actually mentioned in Alan Bennett's diaries. Alan Bennett, because he was in that film with the bag lady, is it?
The one with Maggie Smith.
Yeah, he was.
I met
he was
with him in
that film.
Chicago a few years ago.
Oh,
He was
really?
a lot of fun.
Oh, right, okay. But not as yet. I mean, he is on the list of that I've been given by one of the agents, but I'm still looking down other avenues of inquiry at this stage. So, until next time, thank you for listening, watching and taking part in the show. Have a lovely Easter and whatnot. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Fancy Pants.
Scarecrow.
The 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast is an APV Services production sponsored by who1.co.uk and lavazi.co.uk. We are a proud member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. Doctor Who is a trademark of the BBC. No copyright infringement intended.